If you're hauling freight through the fog-drenched roads of the Appalachian Mountains at 3 a.m., and your GPS redirects you down a route that was decommissioned 20 years ago, do not slow down. On a pitch-black night in West Virginia, I made the terrifying mistake of trusting that screen. It was 3 a.m. I was pushing an 18-wheeler through the winding mountain passes of West Virginia, under a blanket of fog so thick you couldn't see 10 feet ahead. Traffic on the main interstate was deadlocked, so my backup GPS suggested a narrow, forgotten bypass. Thinking it would save me hours, I took the turn. Within 2 miles, the pavement crumbled into cracked asphalt, flanked by faded road closed signs. But on that narrow ridge, turning a 53-foot flatbed around was completely impossible. I had no choice but to keep rolling deeper into the dark. That's when the CB radio burst into violent, ear-piercing static, a high-pitched screech that wouldn't stop even after I yanked the power cord. I glanced at my driver's side mirror, and my heart dropped into my stomach. Standing on top of my flatbed trailer, silhouetted against the dense fog, was a massive, pitch-black figure. It wasn't human. Its limbs were unnaturally elongated, swaying against the 60-mile-per-hour wind. Worst of all, it was slowly crawling along the top of the cargo, inching directly toward the back wall. Of panic hit me like a wall. I slammed my foot onto the gas, engine roaring as the temperature inside the cab plunged to sub-zero, my breath turning into thick, white vapor. Suddenly, a deafening slam vibrated through the metal right behind my seat, like a heavy iron claw striking the cab. I locked my grip on the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the road, praying the rig wouldn't slide off the cliff. Moments later, the heavy fog cleared, and the bright lights of Interstate 80 appeared ahead. As soon as my tires hit the highway, the freezing cold vanished. When I pulled into a truck stop at dawn, I walked to the back of the cab and found 3 massive, deep gouges torn straight through the heavy steel plating. If you're ever driving a lonely stretch of Interstate 15 through the Utah desert after midnight, and a classic 1970s semi-truck flashes its high beams behind you, never, under any circumstances, flash your lights back. 2 years ago, on a pitch-black stretch near Beaver, I learned why that rule keeps drivers alive. It was around 1:30 a.m., and I was hauling a rush load of electronics toward Las Vegas. The interstate was practically deserted, save for an occasional set of distant headlights. The night was dead silent, save for the low hum of my diesel engine and a crackling channel on the CB radio. Around mile marker 105, a set of high beams suddenly appeared in my rearview mirror, closing in fast. It was an old-school Peterbilt, completely dark green with a faded sleeper cab, riding right on my bumper without using its blinker to pass. I tapped my brakes
gently to signal him to go around. But the truck didn't budge. Instead, it hugged closer, its chrome grille nearly touching my underride guard. Frustrated, I reached up and flashed my clearance lights twice. That's when everything went wrong. Instantly, the dashboard lights flickered and died. My speedometer dropped to 0, and the cabin plunged into pitch blackness. Through the rearview mirror, I saw the green semi's cab doors swing open while it was still moving at 70 miles per hour. And the driver's seat was completely empty.
Cold sweat broke out across my neck as a low, raspy voice suddenly hissed directly through my dead CB radio speaker. "You let me in." I slammed my foot hard on the floor, pushing the rig past 80 as the ghostly semi lunged forward, trying to force me off the desert edge. I gripped the wheel with everything I had, screaming into the dark until my headlights caught the bright glow of an off-ramp gas station ahead. The moment I swerved off the interstate, the heavy pressure vanished. When I checked my rear bumper the next morning under the harsh sunlight, I found deep, rusting claw marks gouged directly into the thick steel. If you're hauling a heavy load through the lonely stretches of Highway 93 in Nevada at 2 a.m., and you spot a vintage 1950s diner glowing in the middle of nowhere, keep driving. Last summer, I made the mistake of pulling over and almost never made it out.
It was just after 2 a.m., and I had been behind the wheel for over 8 hours straight, hauling timber across the Nevada desert. My eyes were heavy, and fatigue was settling in fast. Suddenly, off in the distance, I saw bright neon lights flickering against the pitch-black horizon. As I got closer, a classic chrome diner appeared on the side of the highway, full of warm light, with old-school cars parked outside. Relief washed over me. I figured I could grab a quick cup of coffee to stay awake, so I pulled my 18-wheeler into the dirt lot. The moment my boots hit the ground, the air felt unnaturally still. No wind, no desert, crickets, just complete silence. I walked up to the glass door and pushed it open. But the instant I stepped inside, the lights flickered and vanished. The lively diner transformed into a rusted, abandoned shell covered in decades of dust and cobwebs. I spun around to head back to my truck, but through the broken window, I saw my rig's headlights cutting through the darkness, and a tall, shadowy figure sitting right in my driver's seat, staring straight at me. Still. No wind. No desert. Crickets. Just complete silence.
I walked up to the glass door and pushed it open. But the instant I stepped inside, the lights flickered and vanished. The lively diner transformed into a rusted, abandoned shell covered in decades of dust and cobwebs. I spun around to head back to my truck. But through the broken window, I saw my rig's headlights cutting through the darkness, and a tall, shadowy figure sitting right in my driver's seat, staring straight